What up, y'all? It's Metaphor back for more to kick the raw, represent everyone's you and I verse. We're going to do a video on Sagittarius in the 12th house, which is Capricorn rising. Capricorn rising can be initiating and creating new ways of practicality and logistics, right? So your personality and your first impression of individuals is an individual that's very logistical. An individual that no matter the emotion that's going on, you're going to make a practical plan, no matter what's going on, like I say, and find a solution to the circumstance. So Capricorn tends to be very hard, ruled by Saturn. I like to say hard as in like solid. Like you talk about a street dude, he's solid. You see what I'm saying? Like you can't really catch him slipping. You see what I mean? So in the 12th house, with Sagittarius being here, is mutable fire. Being able to adapt to other people's ways of visions and expressing themselves. So your dream and illusion and nightmare, your 12th house, is a mutable fire, like I say. So you're in a dream world about your knowledge, wisdom, and experience. Sagittarius being a mutable fire sign, like I say. So you're able to adapt other people's ways of dreaming about knowledge, wisdom, and illusion. So you can either say like, okay, I agree with this person's vision, and say, all right, we're going to tap into the same dream, and boom, we can build this and actually have the same trajectory, so to speak. I'm going to fix my camera real quick. It looks a little bit lopsided to me. I don't know why. Alright, that looks better to me. So, with this being here, you don't want to be too mutable to the point where you adapt to other people's dreams and you just work for other people. So this is where Capricorn can kind of get caught up. So they want to build something, but they might be building something for another individual. They might be in that illusory nature to say like, oh, okay, this individual has more knowledge and wisdom than me, so I'm going to adapt to their dream. You see what I mean? So you want to be able to have that happy medium, being able to adapt to other people's ways of seeing the vision, but also being able to say like, okay, am I building for you? Am I building for a collective? Am I building for you and I? You see what I'm saying? So that's if you're trying to adapt to somebody else. And a way that you could work on your own spiritual nature and your own dreams and illusions and nightmares, that 12th house is like an illusory nature, like I say, so it's in the spirit realm. Like a dream is something that you don't really, and it's just a thought and a feeling, you see what I mean? Before you make it real and actually make that, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like, it's not an interactive thing that you can interact with, that's a thought and a feeling. But okay, yeah, it's a speculative thing. The 12th house is more speculative, and the 6th house is more operative. So to say, you're gonna see this vision and be able to adapt to how this dream can play out. You're gonna want to adapt to this illusory nature of how it could play out. So to say that your opposition, you want to be able to communicate and put on a schedule and be mutable in your air. To be able to put this on this schedule, say, okay, I have this vision and dream and illusion and nightmare, but who do I need to communicate and what do I need to put on the schedule to actually bring this to the light? You see what I mean? So with the Capricorn being here and working with the Gemini, you think about that that being the first house and the 6th house is in conjunction, so it's a misunderstanding. So in the personality and that first impression, like to say if a planet was in the first house, like you say Mars being, if you had Mars and Capricorn in the first house, your intentions upon being structured and being practical and logistical and initiating that practicality is going to be a very passionate way. You're going to have an intent about putting this, this building nature about. You're going to be seeing like, okay, whenever it's in the first house, I personally am very passionate and have personal intentions. And you see, if you were to look at it like a planet moving through this first house all the way back to the 12th house, you would say, okay, how did my passion start in my building, and how did it end up being, the full circle vision? Did it actually achieve the mutable, the vision that I had? Like, is it in the feeling and the emotion that I wanted to express? Is that what I got out of this? You see what I mean? So like that's how you could look at a planet going all the way through that cycle, from the 1st to the 12th house. And like I said, if you're looking at this from a rising nature, that first and that sixth house is in conjunction, so a misunderstanding. So you want to build, but also you want to communicate about building. You see what I mean? That sixth house being a Gemini, you want to communicate about what you can put on the schedule. You see what I mean? And being able to think about what you should put on the schedule before you actually communicate it. And which visions have you actually expressed and which ones are you looking towards expressing. So like the mutable is like the past, present, and future. So you look at the air being in the sixth house is the past, present, and future. Your past schedule, your present schedule, and your future schedule. So like you could say like, okay, this is how I used to go about this dream, illusion, and nightmare. That Sagittarius, that this is how I used to go about the vision, and this is what I'm putting on the schedule now because I've communicated and found the correct information to actually expand upon, to more analyze. I would say is the Gemini energy, and the Sagittarius energy is more of like a feeling, like I say. Like, is this the actual dream that I felt was what I wanted to project in the first place? So, and you could look at, like I said, the Mars traveling to that 12th house again from that, all the way from that first house to the second, third, fourth, and blah, 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 and all the way through the cycle, back to the 12th house, about to enter the first house again. You want to see, okay, do I have this dream, illusion, passion, and nightmare? Was it expressed? Did I actually put out those intentions? Was I able to adapt to other people's ways and them adapt to mine as well due to me having this knowledge and wisdom and being able to connect that? So it's like the mutable energy tends to be like a changing energy. It either you stay, in your ideal and it changes another individual's view on it, or you change your view on it due to another individual having more capacity, I'd say. Like the mutable energy has a large capacity to achieve many things, but like actually what it chooses to achieve is kind of all over the place. So it's like once a mutable sign can actually hone in on what it actually is going towards, then that's a very positive thing for that. And so it works out really well. Like for example, if a fixed sign tended to be more mutable, like if you look at Taurus having that second house Gemini, it values that communication, being able to be adaptable in people's communicating style. Like, okay, this is how I'm feeling this is how I personally am right now, Taurus, you see what I mean? Being consistent or stubborn upon their way of practicality, but like, how could I really go about this in a different way? Like, how could I go about executing my values and things and actually, holding value in things and still be the way I am? That's how the Taurus would appreciate that Gemini energy and be able to still be themselves but find a different way to be themselves, if that makes sense. And the Capricorn here tends to have this energy of, okay, if I can be more fixed than ideal, if I can say, all right, this is how I'm going about things and I'm not going to switch up on it, this is how I want to see things, this is how I'm going to create this practicality and this logistics. So once you initiate and create that initial thing, then you got to continue to build on that and say that second house for a Capricorn is Aquarius, that fixed air. So you want to be able to communicate about what you value. And for the Capricorn, that tends to be putting them in a vulnerable space. So it's like you want to be able to say, okay, this is exactly what I'm doing, and stay fixed in that and not try to just initiate to accommodate a certain circumstance that you're in at the current moment. You want to actually really tap into that Saturnian nature and say, this is what I'm building. So yeah. And like I said, to finish up kind of how the 12th house would work, you want to be able to have a vision and communicate about that vision and put it on a schedule to actually, bring it full circle. So yeah, that's kind of how the 12th house works. It's like you might have these illusory natures of like, okay, for the Capricorn specifically, first house, that illusory nature of like, do I want to adapt to another person, or is my idea actually better? You're kind of in that little illusionary space to say, do people know more than me, or do I know enough to do this on my own and actually have other people adapt to me instead of me adapting to others? And it's really like about where you're at in your space to say, are you established in what you're doing, and have you already brought your vision full circle? If so, then you want to continue to build on that and be fixed on that, and if not, then you want to kind of be immutable and see where can I actually achieve this dream and where can I bring it into reality. And then boom, maybe you see somebody actually doing your dream, and you can communicate about that with them and find what you should actually put on the schedule, aka Gemini 6th house. So yeah, that's how it works out. And holla back at me at conscious1347@gmail.com. That's conscious1347@gmail.com. And yeah, holla back at me. Much love. Peace.